By the time the bank called on day 9, I had already stopped answering calls from two numbers. The bank and my mother, not out of anger, out of something quieter than that. Something that felt for the first time in 6 years, like a decision that belonged entirely to me. Let me go back to the beginning, because the story starts not with the phone call. It starts with a fresh sheet, and the question I have been avoiding for a long time. At what point does taking care of someone become funding someone? I didn't have the answer then. I do now. Nashville in October has a particular way of light, thick and golden, the kind that makes everything look like it's being remembered rather than happening. It was a Wednesday, 6:52 in the morning. I know because I checked the log before I sat down, which is something I do. My kitchen table have two things: a cup of coffee black, still too hot to drink, and my laptop, open to the file I have never given a rubber name. Just Sis2, which, looking back, might have been the most honest label I ever gave anything. I open Sis2 in a way I open it every first of the month, without ceremony, type in the October features. Ryan's rent, Ryan's credit card minimum, Ryan's trade school installment, $4,800. The same number is happening for the past 8 months. The total in cell B74 read $312,000. I closed the tab, opened a client contract, got to work. The coffee has gone cold by the time I remember I hadn't rung it. I wrapped both hands around the mug, and something in the way of it pulled me sideways. Not forward, sideways, into a different kitchen. 15 years old. 6 weeks after my father left. Not dying, left. Which is, which in some way is harder because there are no chairs to leave empty, just an absence that keeps rearranging itself. My mother dying sat across from me at a table in our house in Gloughville. She took my hands in hers. Her script was steadier than I expected. Megan, you strong one. You always have been. I need you to help me to hold the family together. Ryan was 1 year old. He was in the next room in his browser, completely unaware that anything had shifted. I said, okay. I don't remember if I meant it or if I just understood it were already true. I poured the cold coffee down the sink, made the second cup, left for work at 7:15. My mother called at 2:30 on a Thursday. I was in my car in the parking garage, eating a sandwich over a paper towel. I picked up on the second ring. Habit? Honey, how are you? Her voice had a specific one disguised when something was coming. Let it hit from the oven before you open it. Fine, Mom. Busy? Of course. So listen. Ryan found a spee, a real one. On Gallatin Pine, good for traffic. The landlord's flexible. He just needs someone with established credit to co-sign the business loan. 45,000, which honestly for a full shop build-out is really. No! The word came out flat and immediate. Not unkind, just complete silence. Then, Megan, I'm not co-signing alone for Ryan. He just needs someone to. I know what he needs, Mom. In the background, muffled. Ryan's voice. What did he say? And my mother not quite covering the phone. Just give me a minute. She came back. Her voice has shifted. I just don't understand you sometimes. He's your brother. He's trying. That's what family does, Megan. That's how this works. I sat with that for a moment. Not because it's hurt, because I wanted to be precise about what I was going to say next. I'll talk to you later, Mom. I ended the call, set the phone on the passenger seat, looked at the concrete pillar in front of my car. Someone has painted B3 on it in yellow stencil. I had parked in this exact space for 3 years and never noticed it until that moment. I opened the bank app. The list was there the way it was always there. Ryan's friend, auto transfer, $1 and $950 per month. Ryan visa minimum, $110 per month. Ryan trade school, $2,440 per month. I looked at it for 30 seconds. Then I started canceling, one line at a time. Cancel, confirm. Cancel, confirm. Cancel, confirm. I flew back to the office. I built 5 more hours before 5 o'clock. That night, I made pasta from scratch. Real pasta, the kind that takes time. And I sat at my own table and tasted the food and thought about how that should not feel like a revelation. But it did. On the Thursday, Ryan left a voicemail. His voice was careful, still in the register of confusion. Not anger yet. Hey Meg, so the rent payment is showing as not processed. I'm sure it's just some bank glitch. Can you check your end? I need it sorted before Friday, or there's the late fee, so thanks. I listened to it once, set the phone down, put the groceries away, item by item. I did not call him back. On the 5th day, my mother left a message. A deliberate sigh first, then her voice, pitched low and tired. Megan, Ryan says the payments haven't come through again. You know how he gets when he's stressed. Just call me when you get a chance. This is important to me. I hope you know that. I heard every word. I heard again, doing more work than it appeared to be doing. I heard you know how he gets, which I did know, and which was exactly the point. I finished the dishes. Did not call her back. There is something nobody tells you about going quiet on someone who expects noise from you. They don't immediately think, she's made a decision. They think there's been an error. Something has malfunctioned. It takes time for the absent to register as choice. My mother and Ryan were still in the malfunction phase. I knew it wouldn't last. At the family dinner my mother organized at my Aunt Patricia's house in Franklin, everyone was already seated when I arrived. Uncle Dennis on the love seat, hands on his knees, the posture as a man who has been told this was serious and was talked. Uncle Dennis on the love seat, hands on his knees, the posture as a man who has been told this was serious and was taking that seriously. And Patricia with a glass of whiskey and an expression calibrated to concern but fair. My cousin Trevor, near the window, fall face down on the armrest. Ryan on a small sofa by the hallway, closest to the exit, which I noticed, and which told me he wasn't as composed as he wanted to appear. And my mother's in her usual chair, upright, waiting to rise about something. I sat down. I set my bag on the floor. Uncle Dennis cleared his throat. Megan, we're not here to blame anyone. We just think there's been some miscommunication, and we want to work through it as a family. That wasn't a miscommunication, I said. I was asked to co-sign along. I said no. Mom told me I only care about myself. I edited the call and canceled the automatic payments I've been making for 6 years. That's the whole thing. The room shifted. Ryan leaned forward. You can't just cut everything off with zero warning. That's not how family works. It gave 6 years of warning, I said. I just gave it in installments. I just gave it in installments. You acting like we have you acting like we have been taking advantage of you. I'm not acting like anything. I'm describing what happened. My mother looked at me then, and she said something she had probably been carrying for a long time. Ryan knows how to love people. He shows up, he comes, he feels things. A pause. You just know how to manage. I looked at the tiled floor, counted the squares between my chairs and the front door. 14. I picked up my bag. I stood. I'll be in touch, I said. I walked out. I did not slam the door. It was 4 in the morning when I opened C2 again for the first time since canceling the payments. From January, I read forward from January 2018, month by month. The numbers were steady, precise, documented. Holiday transfer label, holiday gift in notes columns. A car repair label, car issues. A security deposit label, deposit half. As the label made the entries something other than what they were. My father has kept a financial ledger too. A green hardcover notebook I found on the robber once and quietly returned. He tracked every dollar of the family spent, but he kept it so he could understand the situation, not to justify himself, not to repair a case. I had kept this too, as evidence against a charge no one had filed yet. Proof that I was not a fool. Proof that I was good. You just know how to manage. I had heard as an accusations, but sitting at my kitchen table at 4 in the morning, I turned it over carefully. Yes, I know how to manage. I have been managing since I was 15 years old, and no one, not once, in 6 years, has thought to add what this were costing me. I opened a new document, printed 6 pages. The printer chimes on page 4. I sat down on the kitchen floor and worked the paper out of the feed mechanism slowly, without forcing it, the way I did small things that require patience. And I texted my mother. If you want to talk, I've come on Saturday, 2 p.m. I sat in front of them and read every line out loud. All 6 pages, 30 minutes, no explanation, no apology. Ryan started crying somewhere around 2021. I looked up one, briefly, then looked back down at the page. My mother kept her eyes on the table. When I finished, I set the folder down. I'm not asking for it back, I said. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to argue. I read it so everyone in the room would know what the situation actually was. I looked at my mother, then at Ryan. 3 things. I won't be providing financial support to anyone in this family going forward. If someone tells me I don't know how to love people, I leave every time. And I come when I want to, not when there's a crisis. My mother looked up from the table. Something moved through her face that was anger, and wasn't the reckless exhaustion of something worse. Something moved through her face that was anger, and wasn't the reckless exhaustion to something worse. Something moved through her face that wasn't anger, and wasn't the reckless exhaustion they sometimes were. Something older than either. I didn't know, she said quietly. Megan, I genuinely didn't know it was that much. I believe her. That's what the hardest part. She had watched one trial carry the other for 6 years and had genuinely not noticed. And I believe that. And it explained everything. And it explained nothing. And it explained nothing. I know, I said. I left. 3 months later, on a Sunday in January, I made coffee and sat by the window and watched Nashville wake up. Sis 2 was still on the files. I hadn't opened it. I didn't need to anymore. Travis texted to say Ryan has moved back to Diane's house. A pickup truck, a few boxes, a Saturday afternoon. I read the message. Make note of it. Closed it. My mother sent a coffee in February. A flower from her garden. Morning light coming in the sign. No caption, just an image. I looked at this for a moment. Set the phone down, finished my coffee. The apartment was quiet, not the absence of something, the presence of something I was still learning to name. Something that's happening underneath everything else the whole time, waiting for the noise to stop. What I know now, what I know now it is. Being needed and being loved are not the same thing. And the distance between them, once you finally see it, cannot be unseen. There is nothing wrong with caring for people, but somewhere between taking care and taking on, a lie gets lost. Quietly, without admitting, without anyone noticing the way you've been holding, because you make it look easy. Closing an account is not the same as closing a door. She still loved her mother. She still loved her father. She just stopped paying for the first in the family that has never once asked if she was okay.